We have another witness who actually volunteered information to this committee on the issue of the extrajudicial killings.
Mr. Chair, I think that there should not only be a review of these cases, there ought to be a reinvestigation of these cases. Would that be the kind of mandate the Philippine National Police also has? Because the thing is, yung mga investigation ginawa on the last administration were actually wala eh. Wala nangyari. So, I'd like to ask Major General Salvador, would you agree that all of those victims of the extrajudicial killings, more than 7,000 of them or more, should be reinvestigated further? If it's possible, then I would strongly suggest that these victims should be reinvestigated so that the proper charges in court should be filed, Mr. Chair.
Sobrang nakakagulat na balita. Grabe, former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Nagulat sa bagong testigo nagsalita, matindi ang nadiskubre ng Quadcom. Nakakabahalang investigasyon muling bubuksan nila. Ayon sa nakalap nating impormasyon, nababahala si Congressman Ace Barbers at Congressman Benny Abante. Sa inamin ng bagong testigo lumantad na biktima din ng EJK, totoong inabuse daw ni Duterte ang pagiging presidente ng bansa. Matindi ang nadiskubre ng Quadcom, nakakabahalang investigasyon muling bubuksan nila. Tara panoorin natin.
We have another witness who actually volunteered information to this committee on the issue of the extrajudicial killings. He is Mr. Joel Sarmenta. You're here, no, Mr. Sarmenta. He was the former consultant of the CHR chairman Chito Gascon, correct? And he brought with him a witness, Miss Marisa Hamoy, the mother of Darwin Hamoy, a minor who was killed during the past administration's drug war, known as the Payatas Birthday Massacre. And we'd like to hear his story and see what legislation we can produce out of the story of Miss Marisa Hamoy. So before that, we'd like to acknowledge Mr. Sarmenta. Mr. Sarmenta, do you have an opening statement?
In a minute.
By the way, before that, since you're going to deliver a statement and appear before this committee, may we ask you to take your oath, including Miss Marisa Hamoy? Pwede po ba tayong sumumpa? Comsec, please administer the oath of our new witnesses.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this congressional inquiry, so God will help you? Thank you. The oath has been administered, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Sarmenta, can you please proceed?
Having had the golden opportunity to serve the late Chito Gascon as his consultant for communications starting in early 2016, I coordinated when the war on drugs started with at least 40 international news teams or international reporters doing stories on the EJ case of war on drugs. Not once did any one of them get back to me after doing their coverage saying, it's not as bad as it seems, or with I understand why this has to be done. All of them were always more appalled, more outraged compared to the day they arrived at our airport named after someone assassinated on its tarmac. A female reporter from Europe who often goes to war zones once asked me why is it that in this country the police can return to the same neighborhood the next day after killing a civilian in that neighborhood, compared to other nations where she has reported from, where it takes weeks before a police can patrol the same place where a civilian was killed. Kasi nga po ay babatuhin sila or whatever. During War on Drugs, I met many individuals with courage and fortitude. Sadly, one of the first I met, Hara Kazu of the Pasay PNP Bertes father-son slay inside the Pasay PNP SDEU on July 7, 2016, badly wants to come today, but her poor health prevents her from coming. Sadly, Hara now has breast cancer. Hara was the first. She would like to request of the committee if she can give a video testimony. Hara was one of the, so ito pong mga basically what I present, some of the things I'm presenting now is merely just based on my paper, no, which is about another kind of nanlaban. What happens to the victims after nanlaban sila legally and actually lalamunin ka ng sistema. Nothing will happen to your effort to find justice. So that's another angle, no, that I think we should take a look at the lawfare, the law that is happening against the victims. Wala silang nahahanap na talagang ano. Now, Hara was the first EJK widow to speak in the 2016 Senate Justice Committee investigations. During those hearings, then PNP Chief Bato de la Rosa presented the two shooter cops to the Senate. Nandun mismo sa Senate and promised a quick resolution. Pasay RTC released, so hindi naman po nahuli yung judicial ano, Pasay RTC released a warrant of arrest by first quarter of 2017. But then nothing, totally nothing. Even after Hara herself bumped into one of the cops on the street, and I went quickly to the NCRPO chief then, General Guillermo Elazar, to report so. Wala pa rin. Pero si biktima nakikita. But PNP claims, hindi makita, ang gagaling nila magtago. So soon after that meeting on the street, a year or so after, the RTC archived the warrants. Nothing happened until, take note, November 2024, when Hara herself told me she's had some scuttlebutt that one of the cops, PO2 Alipio Balo, might be incarcerated. My own networks confirmed he was indeed in the Pasay City Jail for shooting someone else. So isa pa po yun na kung ginawa lang sana yung paghahanap or ginawa talaga yung pag-aresto, hindi na sana may iba pang nabaril. Hindi yata po EJK yung itong second biktima. The CHR has confirmed that he is indeed incarcerated there. So why did it take so many years of shooting and then the shooting of another victim for Alipio Balo to be behind bars? So I think I would like to ask the body to demand Pasay PNP and NCRPO investigate this and provide proof that Balo was not receiving his PNP pay after second quarter of 2017. Kasi I have a suspicion he still was. It saddens me that this war gave free rein to so many elements and hardly any guardrails established, even if cases like the Bertes double slay had been clear warning signals early on. Very early, July 7 pa po to, no? I was at the Senate on October 28, 2024 for the Blue Ribbon hearing, and because I brought the invited EJK widow Cristina Gonzalez of Antipolo. Sadly, a few of the senators began berating her for not filing, and Gonzalez got intimidated and did not correct them and let the truth out. Her very own case for a protection order already has decisions from the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court deciding on August 22, 2022. No? All decisions by the High Court were in favor of Cristina Gonzalez, and all noted that the death of Joselito Gonzalez is an EJK and must be investigated. To this very day, no investigation has been initiated by any of the bodies who could do investigations. So may High Court decision ka na, yung pwede naman mag-imbestiga, hindi naman kumikilos. Why? No? Bakit ganon? There's even a duplicity in this, no? Because once the Supreme Court announced that, actually, the state submitted that to the ICC, claiming that this is a sign that the victims can get, and the ICC rebuffed, no, this effort by saying, no, that's not even a criminal investigation. And the whole, how dubious this whole thing is that Soon after, they filed again another motion for reconsideration. Pinagmalaki sa ICC na ito daw yung ano, tapos mamaya-maya, hindi nakuha yung gusto, may motion for reconsideration na naman, na ifa-file about the protection order. Gaano ba dangerous itong si Cristina Gonzales na talagang na wag magkaroon ng protection order. The lawyers, unfortunately, she's not here today, but the lawyers, Dargon Law Office, who represent her as well as Marisa are here. No? So, monitoring these cases and regular meeting at the affected families is an advocacy I do. No? And I stopped being with, so I'm not exactly a professional person doing this, and I stopped being with CHR when I went to Myanmar in 2018 and taught there for a year. No? So in August of 2024, I presented the paper which I had submitted on the 7th International Conference of Human Rights, no, in Malang City, East Java, Indonesia. No? And that's where I put all this. My main reason for writing the paper is also to show that, kasi ang laging sinasabi, hindi naman naka-file yung victims. Hindi raw naka-file. And then as if the system is working, and they're always just talking about the Kian de los Santos case and the Arnaiz case. Dalawa lang naman yung babanggit nilang natatapos. So, ano ba talaga? No? And then lastly, I'd just like to say, I think we should also look at the point of, and I think Marisa's case is a clear example that, yes, meron nga mga violations of the right to life. Meron din napakalaki rin yung violations of the equality before the law. Nababaril ng mga tao, walang warrant, walang kung ano-ano, walang ano-ano, and yet, the people who should be investigated for doing those things, ang daming kiniklaim na kailangan nila ng ganitong protection from the law, etc. etc. It's twisted.
So, if I may ask, Joel, no, Mr. Sarmenta, ang suspect doon sa pagpatay doon sa anak ni Marisa ay member ng Philippine National Police?
Yes, sir. These are I think she can discuss it, and the lawyers also more. These are unfortunately right here, because Marisa is from Payatas, and this is in short QCPD Station 6.
So pwede ba nating marinig ang
Yes,
kwento ni Marisa?
I often bring that up po na how can there be a police station which kills 100 people in a year's time, and there's no investigation why that.
So how many people were killed in Payatas alone?
Station 6 po, their whole area of responsibility 100. Umabot po ng 100.
So ang area is only Station 6?
Yes.
Yung Station 6 yan yung Payatas?
Yes, and in the first year of the Duterte administration, lumampas po ng, I think it's 102 or 100.
102 ang namatay.
Killed by the PNP of Station 6.
Okay, at ito ay related sa drugs.
Yes, and
Ang mga suspect ay ang mga biktima ay mga drug dependents, pushers.
Yes, and in Marisa's case po, there was only one who was really wanted and as listed in the pre-operations report, but 5 were killed. So,
Okay, so, pwede ba natin marinig ang kwento ni Marisa? Marisa, ang iyong anak ang biktima dito, no?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Pwede bang malaman kung ilang taon ang iyong anak?
17 years old po.
So 17 years old siya. Siya ba ay kasama sa drugs watch list ng Quezon City Police?
Hindi po.
How about sa PIDEA? Nandun din ba siya? Wala siya. So wala siyang history na siya ay gumagamit o siya ay na-involved sa pagbibenta?
Wala po. No record po siya sa barangay ng Payatas.
So walang record?
Wala po.
So pwede bang malaman paano nangyari yung insidente?
Yung,
Kung okay lang sa iyo, Kung okay lang sa iyo.
yung time na po yung nangyari po, bali, head po,
Pakilapit mo lang yung mic sa
head po ako ng street sweeper po ng Payatas. May tao po akong namatay yung asawa, nagbigil po kami. Bali, Sampaguita Extension po, bundok kasi yun. Nagpaalam siya sa akin, bababa doon sa baba kasi may birthday case. Ang nangyari doon, tinawag siya doon sa kang Sherwin Pulo na nakalista sa watchlist sa Barangay Payatas. inutusan siya na pinabili ng sigarilyo. Pagdating doon, pagkatapos niyang biling sigarilyo, bumalik doon sa bahay. Si Kang Sherwin, yun nangyari ng putukan na doon po siya namatay po sa loob ng bahay. Mayroon pong survivor na si Harold Alvaro, 8 years na hanggang ngayon hindi na-imbestiga po siya. Siya po ang buhay. Ang kasong nang nalagay sa kanya, direct assault.
Kinasuhan, siya ang kinasuhan.
Opo, yung survivor po na isa.
Okay,
Malilima
so-
sila, 4 ang patay.
General Salvador, I don't know kung pwede nating itanong dun sa station, ano yan? Station 6?
Station 6 po.
O na until now, 8 years ago, the incident happened and until now, wala pang investigation na ginagawa.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, we will look into this. We will check the record, Your Honor.
Okay, salamat. Thank you. So, sige, Mr. Sarmiento.
Regarding Harold Arevalo po, actually he was acquitted on November 17, 2017 for the direct assault charge, which therefore belies the claim na nanlaban. So, and further decisions po by Ombudsman, and also, by the way, this case involves a decision from the Office of the President, which was released on May 25, 2022, before Mr. Duterte stepped down.
Okay.
So, about this case. And they all ignore this decision
Sige.
by the MTC of QC.
Okay.
As if it doesn't exist. Na si Harold Arevalo po ay naging acquitted. Kaya I think we would like to ask the body if he could be subpoenaed to appear. Because anyway, no one has ever talked to him.
Okay, siguro what we can do, kasi first time pa lang namin narinig yung yung kwentong yan, no? And tama-tama, andito ang ating Philippine National Police na pwede nating hingian ng assistance tungkol dyan kung bakit hanggang ngayon, 8 years after the incident, ay wala pa rin investigation na ginagawa. So siguro, in the next hearing, aasahan namin na nandito pa rin ikaw, Miss Marisa, no?
Yes po.
At mas malaking maitutulong sa aming komite kapag ikaw ay magbibigay sa amin ng iyong sinumpaang salaysay. At base doon, kami po'y maaaring makatulong sa inyo. So, and I'd like to ask Mr. Sarmiento to, if possible, you assist si Miss Marisa sa mga kailangan ng komite.
Yes, Your Honor. Along with the Dargon Law Office po.
Okay, so we heard this story. Alam na po natin ang ano natin. Is this Attorney Conti? Is this part of is the story of Miss Marisa one of the cases that you handled?
No, Your Honor. As they mentioned, they have their own lawyers from Dargon Law Firm. But I would affirm the fact of filing of charges against the victims po. Marami din po kaming kaso na ganyan na kung sa kanila po yung survivor, kinasuhan ng frustrated murder, sa amin yung iba patay na, kinakasuhan pa po. Kasi parang ang gustong sabihin ng pulis, totoo na na nanlaban, totoo na drug addict to o kung ano man. Kaya kakasuhan nila ng illegal possession. And that is pointless kasi po hindi pwedeng kasuhan ng patay. Kaya po perhaps as a suggestion, Mr. Chair, perhaps the PNP could identify how many cases they have filed against deceased persons or even those that are drug-related para makita kung may silbi ba to sa atin at kung gumagastos ng ba tayo ng pera sa wala dun sa kanilang naratibo na mali naman pala.
Okay. So, General
Mr. Chair.
Salvador, I hope we took note of the statement made by Attorney Conti and that data would also be helpful so sa committee in the writing of our committee report. Can you submit to us the data that Attorney Conti has just mentioned?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Mr. Chair.
Congressman Abante.
A while ago, Congressman Romy Acop asked a question to the Philippine National Police on the issue of how many thousands of those na nanlaban, ano. In fact, in our last Quadcom hearing, Mr. Chair, binanggit ko pa nga na if there are more than 7,000 na mga biktimang nanlaban, there should be more than 7,000 also evidences of that in the crime lab of the Philippine National Police. So I do not know if they have actually a data on that, no? Because I have even mentioned here in our last hearing that we ought to make an ocular inspection to the crime lab of the Philippine National Police to find out if there are indeed more than 7,000 evidences, whether it be firearms or mga patalim yan, no? So that we'll be able to know kung talagang itong mga taon to nanlaban to. Now, if the Philippine National Police would assume that there are more than 7,000 nanlaban, therefore, there must be more than 7,000 evidences that the Philippine National Police has. If not, then yung mga kulang ang mga ebidensya, hindi nanlaban yung mga yan. Sapagkat alam ko naman na yung mga evidence na yan, I'd like to ask the Philippine National Police, di ba? Pag kayo nag-lock up ng mga, for example, like ito, ang ginamit nito ay paltik, ang ginamit nito ay 45 o 38. Meron niyang nakalagay kung anong taon yan at kung sinong pangalan nung napatay na yan. Di ba? Am I right, Major General?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. It's all in the disposition of the forensic group, Your Honor.
Of the crime lab. Who is the head of the crime lab right now?
Right now, Your Honor, is Police Brigadier General Sembrano, Your Honor.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we invite the head of the crime lab to appear in the next committee Quadcom hearing so that he will be able to give us the data or explain to us the evidences that has been in the crime lab, Mr. Chair. So I move.
There is a motion as stated by Congressman Abante, duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chair, addition lang po.
Yes,
Doon
Congresswoman
sa-
Castro.
So, hindi lang po, Mr. Chair, yung mga paltik o yung mga baril na ginamit nung nanlaban. No? Kung ilan yan, 7,000 po yan, Mr. Chair. Dahil may namatay, dapat po ay alam din po natin yung ginamit sa pagpatay. I mean, yung police. Na halimbawa may operation yan, nanlaban, may paltik yung nanlaban, pero yung mga pulis po, yung kanilang ginamit na baril, dapat po ay naka-record din. O meron din tayong report. Hindi po ba? So para makita rin natin.
Confiscated, di ba?
Yes, confiscated. Dahil, di ba sinasabi ng batas na kapag merong namatay, dapat talagang naiimbestigahan. Hindi lang po yung baril ng nalaban. At yung mga evidences nung bumaril, no, kailangan nandiyan din po. So, tanong ko po sa PNP, na-preserve din po ba yung mga ganong mga evidences? Para makita natin, Mr. Chair, kung ano yung tumama anong bullets, magkaroon ng matching, Mr. Chick.
Yes, General Salvador, please reply.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, normally all encounters, armed confrontation, are placed in scene of crime operations procedures. So it has all the SOCO report, and therefore all evidences are in custody of the SOCO, and normally it is being prepared and being ready for if required by the court. So, we all the presumptions that these are covered by reports, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair, follow up.
Yes.
Ang tanong ko po, na-preserve din ba yung mga baril na ginamit ng police doon sa scene of the crime? Yun po yung tanong ko doon. Or ginamit lang yan and then ginamit pa rin siyang service firearms. So yun po yung tanong natin doon sa police.
Your Honor, that can be answered once the Director of Forensic Group will be present because as I have mentioned, these are all covered by SOCO reports, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, ano ba yung procedure?
Pwede bang malaman na General kung ano ang procedure? Halimbawa, nagkaroon ng engkwentro at napatay ang kalaban ng mga Philippine National Police, kawani ng Philippine National Police. Hindi ba kinukuhaan ng ballistic records yung baril ng police at saka yung baril ng nanlaban?
Normally, Your Honor, tulad ng nabanggit natin sa operational procedure kasi natin, it is being subjected to scene of crime operations procedures, and tulad yung may mga namamatay, tama po kayo, aside doon sa firearms, all pieces of evidence collected in the crime scene are preserved, and it is being placed under the disposition and custody of the crime lab.
So including the firearm of the PNP member?
Normally, Your Honor, if there is findings of irregularity, doon na lang nagkakaroon ng requirement to submit the firearms of those involved in the operations. So long as the findings is within the regular performance of the duty of the police officers, most likely hindi na po nire-require yung gano'n.
Okay. So yan
If there's only a findings of irregularity, Your Honor.
So yan yung SOP, no? Yan yung kapag may findings of irregularity, then you confiscate the firearms. Pag wala, hindi kino-confiscate.
Hindi po, Your Honor. Kung ano lang yung na-collect sa crime scene, yun lang ang pinipreserve natin.
Does that satisfy Congresswoman
Mr.
Castro?
Chair, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Congresswoman Castro first. Sige.
Mr. Chair, parang may mali doon. 'Di ba? Kasi may namatay ng laban. So ginamit yung baril ng pulis para ma-apprehend o mamatay yung kalaban ng pulis.
Your Honor, but
ang problema, Mr. Chair, para makagawa tayo in aid of legislation, no? Parang tingin ko may mali doon. Kasi hindi po naiimbestigahan eh. So kailangan maimbestigahan. So kahit man lang ito yung tinatawag nating presumption of regularity. No, dapat ma-define yan talaga kung paano, no? So hindi pwedeng may namatay na lang, tanggapin na lang yan kasi nanlaban yan at
Siguro,
adik yan, whatever.
yeah.
So yun po,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Chair.
related doon sa sinabi ni Congresswoman Franz Castro, no? Ano ba yung procedure nyo? For example, like, we know for a fact that not all of the victims' relatives would file a case against the police, correct? So, kung hindi sila mag-file ng case, Major General, anong ginagawa ng ating kapulisan kung meron pong napatay na nanlaban na hindi nakapag-file ng anumang complaint?
Tulad po na nabanggit namin, aside sa SOCO, meron po tayong motu proprio investigation na kinoconduct ng Internal Affairs Service. So, lahat po ng ganung nanlaban cases, encounters, there is an independent investigation being initiated by the IAS. At,
Okay, independent po yan, no?
Yes po.
Ngayon, ito. Nabanggit nyo kanina that you only confiscate the firearms when there is irregularity. Alright.
Tama po yan.
Now, anong ginagawa ninyo sa ating kapulisan when there is irregularity?
Well, due process is initiated by way of requiring these people to submit themselves for investigation, tulad na po na yung firearms. And normally, they are being held under restriction so that they can answer for all the investigations being initiated by the unit. So, yun po yung proseso. Para po magiging impartial yung investigation, hindi maka-impluensya yung involved, normally they are being held under restriction or being relieved from the positions they previously hold.
Do you have a list of that, Mr. Chair? Do you have a data, a list of those that have, those policemen that have killed in response to the action of the victims? Do you have a list of irregularity na mga pulis natin or wala?
The better office that can respond to that, Your Honor, is the Internal Affairs Service.
All right, Mr. Chair. So I again would like to make a motion that we invite the head of the IAS to come in our next hearing to shed light on the issue of the mga nanlaban na mga biktima po sa ating mga kapulisan. So, I move.
Comsec, please take note of the request of Congressman Abante.
Mr. Chair, meron lang
Mr.
akong
Chair,
clarification.
may also-
With the indulgence, sige, si Congresswoman
Last na
Castro,
po.
and then si Congressman Dan
Ugnay na lang
Fernandez.
po doon sa topic. So, Mr. Chair, may I also move that we subpoena po yung SOCO, yung report ng SOCO dito sa 7,000 plus o 7,060 ba na ng sinasabing nanlaban. So, pwede po bang... I move, Mr. Chair.
So, there's a motion to subpoena the SOCO report on the 7,000 deaths under di ba DUI ang tawag doon? Deaths under investigation by the Philippine National Police and to be submitted to the committee. So, did we get a copy? Do we have a report? So, none yet. So, may we ask the PNP to submit those records to the committee as stated in the motion of Congresswoman Castro to subpoena all these documents. The motion was duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. So, Congressman Dan Fernandez.
Meron lang clarify, General Salvador. Kasi para nadinig ko kanina kapag merong irregularity, saka lang kinoconfiscate yung mga na evidences na galing sa crime scene.
Both, Your Honor, irregularity or someone who will initiate a complaint. Ibig sabihin kung may magpapile from the victim.
So, ibig sabihin, yung mga ebidensya na nandun sa crime, for example, yung mga ginamit sa panlaban. O so, pag may irregularity lang, with final decision, saka mo lang siya dadalhin sa crime lab?
Magkakaroon po ng investigation based doon sa findings nga po na SOCO.
Okay. So kung nagkaroon ng investigation, tapos sa investigation, ang nagko-conduct nun, sino? Ang IAS?
Ang IAS
So pag nagkaroon sila ng final decision, what happened to the firearms that was collated doon sa mga different crime scenes?
it is normally becomes the evidence, Your Honor.
No.
But yung
Evidence
disposition...
on- For example, nagkaroon ng decision ng IAS at sinabi nila walang irregularity. So yung mga firearm na nakuha, hindi na itatago sa crime lab?
binabalik na po yun sa unit or sa individual concerned, Your Honor.
Hindi. Ang sinasabi...
Normally, Your Honor, these firearms are only requested by the forensic for ballistics.
No. You're talking about the firearm nung police.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm talking
Tama
about
po
the
yun.
firearm or mga weapon na ginamit doon ng mga taong nanlaban. Di ba? Meron di kayong mga nakuwang mga weapon di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Doon sa crime scene. So, nung nakuha niyo yung weapon at the personality na involved were subjected to an investigation, and it was decided by the IAS na walang irregularity, what happened doon sa mga weapons nung mga nanlaban na biktima?
Yun na nga po, Your Honor, na nasa disposition ito ng crime lab ng forensic group. And in fact, I heard there was already a motion.
Yes, I
We're
know.
going to
So,
produce this.
hindi mo alam na kasi parang kanina pag may walang irregularity yung mga weapon, parang I heard na hindi na siya inilalagay sa crime lab So, dinidispose na ba siya or
Hindi po. It remains
In the
an
crime lab.
evidence sa crime lab.
so, anong element of time na nandun siya?
Anyway, Your Honor, as I believe the
best
Director
person
of
to
the
answer
forensic
that.
group has already been sa...
Thank you, General Salvador.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the victim's relative, si ano po ang pangalan niya?
Sarmenta.
Miss Sarmenta.
Marisa,
Joel.
Hindi po, si...
Mr. Joel Sarmenta.
Joel Sarmenta po.
Hindi po, itong...
Marisa Hamoy
Miss
po.
Marisa Hamoy.
Marisa Hamoy.
Miss Amoy, kayo po ba ay nag-file ng complaint?
yes po.
Okay.
Yes, sir. She filed I was with them when they filed
But she filed the complaint.
November 7, 2017.
When she filed the complaint, Mr. Chair, what charges did she file? Was it murder or homicide?
Hindi po that parang connected sa when the IAS elevated it, parang nasa ano na po grave neglect of duty, mga ganon, hindi murder po.
I think, see,
Within
when
the ES.
Miss Hamoy would file, syempre, she would file that her 17-year-old son was killed and was murdered, correct? Pupunta yan sa IAS, correct?
Yes, sir.
Pagdating sa IAS, babaguhin nila, gagawin nilang homicide, am I right? Tama ho ba ako, Miss Hamoy?
Medyo hindi kami sir, but I recently reread the later IAS report. It's connected to
Mr. Sarmenta, can you look into that? Because this is very vital eh. You know, the fact that naniniwala po si Miss Hamoy na pinatay ang anak niya na hindi naman po ito drug pusher o hindi drug addict, hindi drug pusher ito, alright, pero pinatay yung anak niya, naniniwala po ba kayo na yung pumatay sa anak niyo, police?
Walang question about whether it was
Okay, walang question dyan. Pangalawa, ito, naniniwala ba kayo na pinatay po ng walang hawak na patalim o baril ang anak ninyo?
Yes po, naniwala po.
Therefore, hindi po nanlaban. Correct po.
Yes, sir. And as proven by the acquittal po of Harold Arevalo, the survivor, in the case filed by QCPD for direct assault.
Hindi po, yung charge na kanyang dinamanda dahil lang sa biktima. Oo, dun sa pulis na dinamanda niya. Ibig sabihin, dapat yan, ang demanda ni Miss Hamoy would be murder. Tama ho ba ako?
I can check on the ES right now, sir. Maybe I'll get back to you in a few minutes.
Yes,
I have
because
it.
this is quite vital. Very important po ito.
Yes,
Na
sir.
bakit babaguhin ng IAS ang demanda na homicide samantalang murder ang demanda ng kamag-anak ng biktima? Hindi pwedeng baguhin yan. In court, it must be murder ang demanda po dyan. And this is something that we have to look into, Mr. Chair, because this is quite revealing, no, sa atin. And I think that our people should realize this, na marami na mga demanda ang complaint ang mga kamag-anak ng biktima na hindi nanlaban ang mga anak, na ang dapat demanda ay murder, yet nawala ng bisa yung murder. Naging homicide yan, sapagkat ang katuwiran po ng Philippine National Police, nanlaban po lahat yan. Am I right, Mr. Samantha?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I'd like also to bring up that she did file at the IAS, and there's something that's lately I don't notice that's being brought up in the committee in the past hearings. There are in terms of the previous questions po about investigation, sanctions. There is that DOJ listing of 52 cases released on October 19, 2021, which DOJ admitted came from IAS. And it doesn't include her case. And this DOJ listing of 52 cases of October 2021 doesn't list any of the crucial or the sensitive cases. Parang na cherry pick po na medyo very slight cases lang po yun nandun sa 52. This is an offshoot of then DOJ Secretary Minardo Guevara telling the UN Human Rights Council in March, I think, or April of 2021, that there were irregularities, and the irregularities are about 500.
Oh, he said that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, he said
Sinabi niya yan.
before the UN. And but I think the state sort of lost its motivation because in between that time, the ICC still continued. So by the time lumabas na naging watered down to 52 po, and our other honorable members were asking about sanctions. You will be surprised if you read the list. Some of the sanctions are like 60-day suspension.
Therefore, Mr. Chair, if the Secretary of the Department of Justice made a statement that there are irregularities, what did the Philippine National Police do about that?
Chair, Mr. Chair, it is part of that's why that they started compiling that through IAS, and they came up with a list of 52 by October 19 of 2021. But strangely, especially because she filed at IAS, Marisa Hamoy filed at IAS, their case is not there, even if it's a massacre. And along with so many, the cases I mentioned, Gonzales case already decided by Court of Appeals by that time, is not there. Gonzales Antipolo case. Bertes case inside the Pasay City PNP, not there also in the DOJ listing of 52. It's very strange that many of the controversial cases are not there. A year after I was researching on the list, actually, during that time, baka naman nagbago na po, but during that time, I looked at it, there's at least almost 20 of the 52, you will never find them on the internet.
Okay, Major General, who was the Director General during that time, 2021? Because I don't think that you are party of that. Hindi mo alam yun, di ba?
Are you referring to the IG of IAS then, Your Honor?
Sir, we immediately complained to him, General Guillermo Ilazar. It's very significant because actually Marisa Hamoy, when General Guillermo Eleazar was QCPD head, met Eleazar at least 3 times.
All right. Mr. Major General, therefore, who should we invite to shed light on this revelation that Mrs. Sarmiento has said? Who do you think should we invite in the Philippine National Police during that time?
Your Honor, allow us first to check into the records because previously we were required to check this, especially the case being mentioned, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that we invite the DOJ, who during that time was the head, including Mr. Chair, the maybe Director General Eleazar, to shed light on what Mr. Sarmiento has said. So I move, Mr. Chair.
Comsec?
Mr. Chair, if I may add, there was a murder charge. This was the one filed at the
Mr.
Ombudsman.
Chair, point of order.
Yes. What is the point of order, Congressman Akop?
There's a motion filed by the Honorable Abante, and the chair has not yet ruled on the motion of the Honorable
Yes.
Abante.
That is correct. Yes, I'd like to rule on the motion first of Congressman Abante to invite General Eleazar and General and DOJ, no, in the next scheduled committee hearing of the Quad Committee. And Secretary, the former DOJ Secretary, Secretary Solgen Maynard Guevara. So, any second? Duly seconded. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, continue. Please continue.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Attorney Conti.
Sorry, Your Honor, but at this point, point of information regarding the 52 cases that were mentioned. Your Honor, this has already been discussed prior. If I recall from the hearing June 5th, 2024, the DOJ presented the list of 52 cases and said that they had already forwarded the cases with recommendation for filing of charges or case building to the NBI. If you would recall po, si Judge Santiago po yung nagsabi na they investigated it, and in the 52 cases, 30 have been closed temporarily for lack of information.
Mr. Chair, forwarded where?
NBI, Your Honor.
NBI.
Yes,
for
Your
the
Honor.
filing of cases.
But, yes, Your Honor, and just an
For the
additional-
filing. For the filing
For
pa.
filing. So yung 30 po, kumbaga, wala nang na-file. But I agree, the 52 cases are what the DOJ and this government or the previous government said constitutes an investigation. Pumunta sila ng UN, pumunta sila ng ICC, nag-investigate naman kami. 52 cases. None of these cases, or 2 cases were in Caloocan. No cases were mentioned in Bulacan. Kaya hindi po representative yung 52 cases investigated. And just a note, NBI said that they had 400 cases being investigated. So, kumbaga, puro po numbers, pero wala naman po
So you were saying,
pinatutunguhan.
Mr. Chair, you were saying that the NBI was actually remiss in investigating the 52 cases.
Well, yes, Your Honor. Meaning, kumbaga, yung DOJ investigation na ipasa na daw sa NBI for prosecution, yung NBI naman sinasabi, wala na daw na impormasyon. Actually, ang binabato naman, yung biktima daw kasi hindi nagpa-file ng kaso. Ako, wala po akong kaso dun sa 52 na ini-investigate nila eh. Talagang kulang na kulang po yung pinagsimulan ng information.
NBI, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Director Levin, any...
Thank you, Your Honors, Mr. Chair. We, with the indulgence, we take exception to the statement na remiss kami. I have to defend my institution. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Of the 52 cases referred to the NBI, 13 were recommended to be prosecuted. 7 are still under investigation, and 32 of these cases were provisionally closed either for lack of cooperation on the part of the relatives of the victims. Let us remember, Your Honors, Mr. Chair, that we have been denied the opportunity to conduct forensic investigation on the pieces of evidence. Walang crime scene investigation dito. When these were all referred to us, the crime had already happened long time ago. It's very difficult now to reconstruct the scene of the crime. The ideal procedure should have been when a violent incident occurred or happened, dapat nagkandak kaagad ang SOCO ng crime scene investigation.
Pero, Director,
Yes, sir.
how were you able to file a case dun sa 13 ba yung na-file nyo? So, if there are no SOCO reports or immediate investigation after the crime happened, so how were you able to file those cases?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ito yung may mga witnesses kaming nakuha at ito yung nag-pursue yung relatives ng victims.
So, merong cases where the relatives were pursuing a case and meron naman dun sa out of 52 na hindi na nagko-cooperate, hindi na nagpapakita and does not show any interest to file a case.
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. Now, ideally, kung nagkaroon ng violent incident, dapat nagkandak kaagad ng SOCO doon sa crime scene ng kanilang investigation. And to further answer yung gaps kanina kung saan napupunta yung mga baril used by law enforcement officers in the various operations involved in violent incidents, this should have been asked to be surrendered when there was a crime scene investigation wherein pieces of evidence were collected or gathered at the scene of the crime. For example, kung nakakuha ng slugs, kung nakakuha ng empty shells during the conduct of the crime scene investigation, dapat tinanong yung involved na police officers or NBI officers for that matter to surrender your firearms. I remember when we investigated the incident in Commonwealth Avenue involving PDEA and Quezon City Police, I was on top of this investigation. We requested all of those involved to surrender your firearms to the NBI. This is so that the pieces of evidence collected or gathered by the NBI at that time at the scene of the crime, yung slugs, yung empty shells, will have to be cross-matched with the firearms used. At kailangan isurrender nila sa evidence custodian ng NBI to avoid tampering of their firearms when we use this. Only when we shall have terminated or finish the investigation, and our forensic experts shall have testified on the results of their investigation, may the pieces of evidence na firearms ng NBI or ng police ay maaring ibalik on with leave of court, of course. Thank you, Your Honor, Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, thank you, Director Levin. Yes, Congressman Abante.
I surmise, therefore, Mr. Chair, that masyadong magulo itong nangyayaring ito nung panahon ng former administration. Di para bang ang ating kapulisan ay hindi nag-iimbestiga. So I surmise, Mr. Chair, that the police actually were not properly investigating because of the policy of the administration, because of the policy of the former president. Na kung yan, nanlaban ng kaunti yan, patayin nyo na at I have your back. Ako ang magpoprotekta sa inyo. And I would even think, I do not know, Major General, you could be able to tell me if I'm right or wrong, no? Okay lang sa akin. Pero palagay ko, there really was a big irregularity as far as investigating this is concerned. Oh, just imagine, we have more than 7,000 na napatay, but only 52 are being investigated. And 37 of them, wala na because hindi na umano yung biktima. Now, the thing is this, I don't think that it is the NBI that should be first in the scene. It must be the policeman that should be in the scene of the crime. Am I right, Major General?
You are correct, Your Honor. It's supposed to be the PNP, especially the SOCO, that will process the crime scene, especially in the event of armed confrontation, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, why do you always have to give that to IAS? Why don't the SOCO be the one to investigate on it, motu proprio?
It is within their mandate, Your Honor. The IAS has the motto proprio.
No. It's not the mandate of the IAS is to investigate an administrative case. Of course, kasama yung criminal dun eh. Pero still, the IAS should be independent from the Philippine National Police. Therefore, the Philippine National Police must also conduct their own investigation on the matter. Am I right, Major General?
That's correct, Your Honor. As I have mentioned, it is being part of the SOCO operations. And as I have mentioned, once an irregularity has been found based on the processing, corresponding actions is also being recommended, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, are you done, Congressman Abante? So, Congressman Acop, you're recognized.
thank you, Mr. Chair. General Salvador, may I know the basis why IAS should be the one to investigate incidents involving police officers where firearms are used?
It's not, as I have mentioned, Your Honor, it's also their mandate independently. But as I mentioned also that
Could you please state to this body, ano po yung mandate na sinasabi po ninyo?
it's the motu proprio investigation, especially if the case involves the use of firearms. And
Is that provided for by any law?
it is within the disciplinary machinery or 6975, Your Honor.
Administrative cases, I will agree with you. Di ba? Kasi
Opo, nasa batas po, Your Honor.
I do not know. That's why I'm asking, because during our time, the agency that investigates these events or these incidents would be the CIDG. Why? Because when these incidents happen, there are two aspects. Dalawang kaso eh. Administrative at saka criminal. Now, is the IAS equipped to conduct criminal investigation?
It is,
Please answer my question first. Is the IAS equipped or does it have the capacity to conduct criminal investigation?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Oh,
On the basis of the findings of every...
the IAS is basically an agency which investigates the administrative aspect of this issue. Would you agree with that?
Yes, Your Honor, but
Yes.
as I have mentioned,
Kaya nga
they can always recommend.
Sinasabi kanina na Mr. Sarmenta na grave neglect of duty na yung one eh. That is administrative offense. Pero ano yung criminal offense na final ninyo?
I have been consistent with my response, Your Honor, because
Hindi ko
this
naman
is-
sinasabi na hindi ka consistent. Ang question ko, yung sagot mo. Kasi, hindi ba't sabi ko, you give me the basis why IAS is supposed to conduct this kind of investigations. When in fact, I know na yung IAS, administrative aspect lang ng kaso, ang trabaho nila. The criminal aspect is with CIDG, which is capacitated to do the criminal investigation. Kasi iba yung administrative investigation at saka criminal investigation. Doon pa lang sa evidence that is required, magkaiba na yung dalawa eh. So, how can you tell me that the IAS is capacitated to conduct criminal investigation?
Well,
You tell me, what is that mandate that you are telling me? So that I will be convinced.
it is, they have the powers to file appropriate criminal cases against PNP members because before the court as evidence warrants and assist in the prosecution of the case. Tulad nung binabanggit namin, Your Honor, wala silang pinagkaiba sa investigator on case na kung may mga ebidensya on the basis of findings of the SOCO.
Doon sa kaso na sinasabi ni Mr. Sarmenta, ano po yung criminal case na na-file?
Well, we will have to check on the record, Your Honor, for a while.
Yan nga yung sinasabi ko eh.
I believe that they are telling us as to the specification.
Meron po bang criminal case, Mr. Sarmenta, na final?
There was a case in the Ombudsman po. The IAS case po is NES NMP PCI 180054, which is basically a series of grave neglect of duty on Colonel Lito Patay, the QCPD
Administrative.
station. And then on the policeman involved, grave neglect of duty, grave misconduct, and conduct unbecoming.
Those are all administrative cases, which is under the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman. Both criminal and administrative.
There was a separate filing at the Ombudsman po initiated by the CHR, OMBPC 180092. This is for murder. And it was dismissed by the Ombudsman.
Yan yung criminal aspect. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko eh. Ang nangyayari, General Salvador, administrative aspect lang or administrative cases lang ang fina-file ng IAS. Why? Because it's their mandate.
But, Your Honor, they are also not prevented to file the criminal case.
I would agree with you.
Yes.
But supposing I will ask you to give to this committee or submit to this committee ano yung mga cases na involved sa extrajudicial killings na na-file ng criminal case by IAS to prove your point.
We will wait for the IAS to respond to that, Your Honor.
Yes. And that is why, Mr. Chair, may I move that we invite the Director of IAS in the next hearing para masettle tong issue nito?
Okay, there's a motion to invite the head of the IAS.
Second,
And duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, the said motion is now approved.
Mr. Chair, I also would like to inform the body, especially our, I like Attorney Conti and Mr. Meta, that this morning, the Committee on Appropriations already approved, no? The Committee on Human Rights was the first one who approved that. But today, already approved the CHR charter. Oo. Now, Mr. Chair, I think that there should not only be a review of these cases, there ought to be a reinvestigation of these cases, Mr. Chair. Would that be the kind of mandate the Philippine National Police also has? Because the thing is, yung mga investigation ginawa on the last administration were actually wala eh. Wala nangyari. So, I'd like to ask Major General Salvador, would you agree that all of those victims of the extrajudicial killings, more than 7,000 of them or more, should be reinvestigated further? Major General.
Yes, Your Honor, it's possible for investigation.
Therefore, Mr. Chair, if it's possible, then I would strongly suggest that these victims should be reinvestigated so that the proper charges in court should be filed, Mr. Chair.
Ngayon, ikaw, bilang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi mo at reaksyon sa balitang ito? Mag-iwan ka ng komento sa ibaba at atin pong babasahin isa-isa.